Welcome back to MorganSankofa. Happy Halloween, everyone. I am happy to be reading to you today, so hope that you stay tuned. Today I am going to be reading A Good Cry by Nikki Giovanni, some of the poems in here, and I am also going to be showing you some Black American wisdom. I got these actually from the National Museum of African American History in DC. Wow, it's been a while. Maybe last year or two. That's when I got these, and that is supposed to be your girl Rosa Parks. First of all, if you don't know Nikki Giovanni, she gives a little description. It says, a long time ago, a little girl sat in the window of the bedroom she shared with her older sister and read by finger flashlight. She looked at the stars when the battery gave way. When she got older, she snuggled under her grandmother's quilt to listen to jazz on the radio all night, or at least until she fell asleep. She first fell in love with words, then they somehow seemed to fall in love with her. She got to learn history, meet people, travel everywhere, and since this is a good fairy tale, she lives happily ever after. There may be other things along the way, but her words and the stars and the music are all that matter. Please excuse me, I just spit out my gum. I realized that might be a turn off for some people. I wanted to show you that Nikki Giovanni actually signed it. Actually, for my 21st birthday, I was able to go to a restaurant with my mom called Busboys and Poets, and she was there, and we got to hear her talk about her poem. She looked just like this, and she signed. It was a rainy day, pouring raining outside. It was so crowded, and we got to listen to her speak and get interviewed, and it was a great day. So here are some of her poems. Heritage, for Walter Leonard. The folk here are old. There are wheelchairs and people struggling to push them. There are sad-eyed people looking up from beds they cannot stretch out in. And some simply cannot move their heads. All will become something precious, sapphires, emeralds, rubies, which will be discovered by other explorers who will polish and shape the stones. And we will wear them, never knowing whose loved one we have embraced. Okay, so my first African American wisdom card is Louis Satchmo Armstrong. And here's his picture. His quote is, a note in any language, and if you hit it, beautiful. So he was a trumpet player. His years of life were 1900 to 1971. And he was called Satchel's mouth, for the way his cheeks moved when he played the trumpet. Armstrong was born into poverty in New Orleans, singing for pennies as a child in the street. He learned the bugle in reform school. He returned to the cornet before fixing on the trumpet as his instrument, starting in the 20s with the King Oliver Band and later going off on his own. He is credited with inventing scat singing, the breaking down of language into nonsense syllables. Armstrong's rich, gravelly voice contrasted with the disembodied beauty of his trumpet. Long considered America's ambassador through his concerts around the world, he even scored with the 60s generation with his hit version of Mac the Knife and Hello Dolly, appearing in countless movies and on Broadway. Louis Armstrong was the winner of numerous downbeat polls as a top trumpet player and one of the top jazz performers of all time. This poem is called Black Lives Matter, Not a Hashtag. I'm not ashamed of our history because I know there is more to come. I'm not ashamed of slavery, neither bought nor sold, because I know there is another answer. I'm not ashamed of dark or light skinned, curly, straight or curly or nappy, let's call it that, hair. I'm not ashamed of thick or thin lips, nor that time we waste singing and dancing. We taught the white folks to sing and dance too. I'm proud of Simon of Cyrene. Nobody made him help Jesus. He did his part. I'm proud of the women who moaned on the ship at the 10th day for admitting, if not defeat, then certainly change. I'm proud of the rappers who rap, and most especially, I'm proud that Black Lives Matter. We do. We honestly do. I thought it was good to give a shout out to my bracelet, my BLM bracelet that I never take off my wrist. I got this from the Global Network. I used to have one. They used to be black, white, and red, and I would just wear it every day. Probably when I was in college, all throughout. Then I got sick and it got cut by the people in the hospital, and anyway, big deal. But anyway, I wear this every day. The next person is Edward Kennedy Duke Ellington. His years of life were 1899 to 1974. He led the orchestra and he was a composer. And I hope I'm showing you his face, not light. Gifted both in music and painting, Ellington turned down a scholarship to Pratt Institute because at the age of 17, he already was a successful pianist performing in society bands. By his early 20s, he had formed his own band and had found his distinctive sound. Jazz was the new craze, famous for his performances at the Cotton Club in Harlem in the 30s. He played the blues, not sentimental love songs. Unique as a major band leader, he played mostly his own compositions. His tone poem, Moon Indigo, and My Satin Doll, Sophisticated Lady, and Cabaret are classics. Ellington developed unusual harmonies and unpredictable twists. He wrote his music for the individual idiosyncrasies of his musicians. The Ellington sound could never be duplicated by other bands. The last poem I'm going to read is called Afeni. Born January 22nd, 1947 to May 2nd, 2016. When my lover leaves our bed, it is colder. Sometimes I turn the blanket on and sometimes I just get up. I used to wait until our dog jumped up to sit at my feet, which gave me something to cuddle with. But as the dog got older and couldn't jump, I picked her up, though ultimately she decided to ascend to heaven to visit with some of the other folks she loved. When the sun tucks in, the air is cooler, though it is only right that night brings a soothing warmth that puts us to sleep. The same thing could be said of winter pushing autumn into summer's embrace. Snow and ice will come, which is necessary for seeds to grow, flowers to bloom, birds to nibble so that eggs can hatch, but all change, neither right or left. Some bring something cool, or certainly something missing. Afeni is not only a cloud sheltering the sun or the rain grazing the thirsty grass. She is also a season indicating change. She is ascended to the heavens to join those she loves, to bring the warmth to the souls, to help us grow. Okay, I'm going to pick the last card. This is one's going to be a mystery to everyone. Okay, I hope it's a woman. It's a man. His name is Gordon Parks, 1912 to 2009. He was a photographer, basketball player, novelist, filmmaker, and composer. He was a Renaissance man. He was born on a farm in Kansas, as well as playing the piano in a brothel, touring in an otherwise all-white band, and playing semi-pro basketball. He excelled in his true calling as a self-taught photographer. He broke into Life magazine with a sophisticated account of the week in the life of a Harlem gang leader. His later pieces cover such diverse subjects as Paris fashion, crime in America, and the civil rights movement. His novel, The Learning Tree, a thinly disguised account of his childhood in Kansas, was made in 1969 into a movie, which he directed himself. He went on to direct 3 blockbusters, Shaft's big score, and the super cops. Well into his later years, Park still worked at a breakneck pace, writing, painting, composing, and directing. Well, thank you all for joining me for another reading this week. I hope that you enjoyed Nikki Giovanni's book, A Good Cry. And I just wanted to say thank you for continuing to support me. Feel free to put suggestions for anything that you want me to read down below. And just give your input. And I hope that you have a good Halloween and that you get dressed up, that you eat candy indoors, that you watch a lot of movies, and keep on moving. You got this.